in search of projects where state assistance will result in construction. Over the months, they have considered hundreds of proposals.
The only other matter, Mr. Chairman,
We have
is an interview.
Okay, we have Mel Lazarus, and I see him here for charter review. This is our final interview for this that I'm aware. I talked to the office. There's no other applicants out there waiting. If you could just introduce yourself, please.
Thank you for extending this to me. I was supposed to be here last Thursday, but had a prior commitment for the Plymouth County Education Association legislative dinner. Very dreary dinner. Very dreary.
Well, and there was bad weather on Tuesday, and we moved it to Thursday, and obviously, there could be conflict. So,
thank you.
What we've typically done is ask the same questions of each candidate. So you may already have heard them, but I'll start with Selectman Ekstrom.
I have no questions, thank you.
Selectman Donahue.
Thank you for coming forward, Mr. Lazarus.
You're welcome.
What prompted your interest in this committee?
My feeling is that the charter is tantamount to the Constitution of the town. And within any constitution, there have to be, on occasion, revisions and amendments, as we have in the United States Constitution. I think it's important that we as citizens are aware of what the charter is, what it does, how it governs us, and I'm interested in that kind of thing. It's one of the things I teach at the high school right now. So my interest is both in the town, having been here for quite some time, and in the academic of the charter itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Selectman Savageau.
No questions.
No question. Selectman Cronin.
I've asked everybody the same one question. Do you think the charter is outdated?
I think that there are parts of the charter that can be changed and amended. I don't think that the charter in and of itself is outdated, any more than I would think that the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or the United States Constitution is outdated. We have, for example, the Constitution of the United States, which was adopted in 1789, and since then has been amended only 27 times. I think that the charter can use some work. I don't think that the structure of the charter or the structure of the government in the town necessarily is obsolete or outdated.
Well, that leads me to several more questions, but
Okay.
I'm not going to do that because I didn't do it to anybody else. But thank you, sir, very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. And then I guess I would ask, you've read through the charter?
Yes, I have.
And what do you think that some of the biggest items in there that you might think to change? Obviously, you can't speak for a committee that's not formed yet, but personally, reading through the charter, items that you found in there that are confusing or definitely need to be clarified or really need to be changed?
I think that one of the things, and I think, Mr. Party, you've spoken in the past about this with other candidates, is the issue of volunteerism in town. And in reading the charter and reading the provisions having to do with committees that are legislative in structure and committees that are not legislative in structure, I think that people are confused. I think that people are not only confused concerning the charter and what their committee that they may be volunteering for actually does. I think there is also concern of citizens in town about volunteering in general and having to go through some sort of appointment process that is also, to me, a confusing process, where we have appointment of some committees by you as a board, and some committees are appointed by appointing authorities. I think that can be streamlined, and I think by doing so, we may take some of the frustration and some of the concern that citizens have about volunteering. Because quite frankly, volunteers in a town like Wareham and in most cities and towns is the backbone of what makes it work. If you'd like specific articles, I can tell you, but basically my concern is, A, the issue of how people are appointed, B, the description of some of the committees, and C, there in the charter there is a rather lengthy list of, I want to dance, of duties and responsibilities for the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator, and I think that those also are some things that we should be looking at in some depth.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I guess not. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
for coming
and again,
forward.
thank you for extending this
Absolutely.
interview today and not last week.
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Lazarus.
Okay. All right, so I think that was the last, as I stated before, that's the last applicant. We don't have to make a decision tonight, but I know the board had mentioned last week that they wanted to know how many were left and when they'd like to be able to start to think about putting the committee together. So you can go back through who we've interviewed and then any thoughts you might have on the makeup. I think it's, within the board's purview to have other positions on there if we wanted, but if you just want to stay with those that applied, then we can do that too. So it's however I don't know if anyone wants to discuss that now. Not have to make a decision, but
Briefly, if I could, I think that one of the issues that we need to resolve is the number of people who we will appoint to the committee. I think based on previous experience, there's been between 7 and 11 people. I would think that 11 would be a maximum. There may be 1 or 2 people who drop out along the way because it becomes a little more than they expected. At the same time, I don't think that we should allow the number of people on the committee to go below 7, because then you don't get enough of a varied opinion. Obviously, the charge of the committee, I think, is to make some recommendations as to where the changes, tweaks, throw the baby out with the bathwater, whatever the recommendations the board comes up with. But in order to do that, I think you need to have at least 7 people on the. And if you start out too low and 1 or 2 drop out, then we're going to wind up having to make new appointments. So I would say, just for discussion purposes,
we could have
between
alternates
7
as
and
well.
11. And alternates are a good suggestion as well.
Well, I think under, and I know this isn't the same, but I would say under Mass General Law or the Constitution, Article 98 or Amendment 98, that talks about writing these, rewriting